Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to episode 13 of Vlogdown. As you can see by the title, in this video I am going through just some of my favourite experiences I've had whilst I've been doing Car Obsession. I've had the great fortune to have had some fantastic experiences whilst I've been doing Car Obsession for the last 4 years or so. So I thought I'd go through some of my favourites, and believe me, trying to shortlist 5 was really difficult because, like I say, I've had some truly wonderful and memorable experiences for which I'm very grateful for. But I'm going to give it a go and go through 5 of my favourites. Now, these aren't in any particular order because it is nigh on impossible to put them in any kind of order. And to make my life easier, I've picked out experiences that I've had with press cars or press events as opposed to my own personal cars, because as you can imagine, personal cars are they're more personal to me, and therefore that they hold greater memories, and because of that it's really difficult to pick out my favourite experiences from that. So yes, this is purely based on press events I've been invited to, although there is one that doesn't quite fall into that category. But anyway, I'm waffling already. So let's kick things off with an event I got invited to a very long time ago. I think that this was 2017. And sadly, it was a video that didn't really get a lot of attention. I got invited by BMW UK to attend a track day at Alton Park. Is that how you pronounce it? Alton? No, it's Alton Park, isn't it? As you can guess, I'm not a native in that neck of the woods. So yes, I got invited to Alton Park on their BMW Experience Day. I must admit, I can't remember what the actual product name for it is. But basically, BMW invited media, journalists and YouTubers to this Experience Day. And this is something that the paying public can do. So really, I wouldn't say we were guinea pigs, but our role was kind of to do it for ourselves, promote it, and kind of get the word out, so to speak. So it was a truly incredible day, having the opportunity to spank some really fast BMWs around the track. So what did I go out in? So I went out in a BMW M2. I went out in a BMW M4. M4 GTS, an M6. We had the M6 on track. That was that was interesting to say the least, because the M6 must weigh around 2 tons, maybe a little bit less, but it is a heavy car. That's what I want to stress here. So trying to navigate the M6 around the circuit, it just felt a bit wallowy, to be honest. It is a fantastic car, don't get me wrong, but compared to the other cars I drove on circuit, it just felt a little bit out of place. I also did a little bit of drifting in an M3, and I also got a passenger ride from Paul O'Neill in a race ready M2, and my word, that was sensational. Because when you're driving, particularly me, I'm not by any means a competent track driver. I've done a few track days, I've dabbled a bit, but there's so much more I can learn. So when you think you're going fast around a circuit, then you have a passenger ride from a professional, it is a different kettle of fish. I'm like down here, and he was like all the way up there. The ability that he had was amazing, and the speed he could carry through corners was it almost defied physics. I'm sat in the passenger seat thinking, okay, now's a good time to brake. No, really, Paul, brake now. No, just brake. You're mad, man. You're trying to kill us. But yeah, truly sensational driving. I would say that of course was my highlight from the day. One of my highlights. It was a cracking day. I think for me, the M4 GTS was my favourite, because a standard BMW M4 is a very capable and competent machine. But when you drive the GTS, it's like someone's got a standard M4 and dialed it up to 11. I know that's a bit of a cliche comment, but the GTS, it just feels so much sharper, so much lighter. Of course, it's stripped out compared to a standard M4, and it's more track ready, of course. So it is bound to feel sharper, but the differences between the two, it was pretty much night and day. So truly amazing. So I'm really thankful for BMW for inviting me, because to be honest, at that time I was a very small YouTuber, and to be fair, I am still a small YouTuber. And so the fact that I even got an invite was mind-blowing. To put it into some perspective, I was at the same event with the likes of Supercars of London and Seen Through Glass, proper big established YouTubers. So to have the opportunity to rub shoulders with them was incredible. Oh, and I've just forgotten. I've just remembered. Of course, Joe Achilles was there as well. So Joe's channel at the time wasn't quite as large as it is now. He's done really well over the last 1 or 2 years. So big up to Joe Achilles. You've done well, mate. So to have the opportunity to share the same event with YouTubers like that was just absolutely fantastic. And what's even better was the event was a few days, I think it was before or after my birthday. So to me, it just felt like the ultimate birthday present. So I'm not too sure if BMW still offer those days. I'll have to do a bit of research and drop it in as a subtitle. But if they do, I would thoroughly recommend it. If it is a product they still offer, obviously it may not be at this moment in time because of COVID-19, but I will put a link in the video description below, because if you like your BMWs, or actually if you like any fast cars and you like track driving, it is a good thing to do, a fantastic thing to do. And better still, you get a bit of tuition as well. So you have like a race instructor with you to give you pointers and tips, and it's fantastic. I keep saying fantastic. I need to get a thesaurus. It's beneficial because they can show you how to be faster and how to be smoother. I think from my perspective, one thing that I need to improve on when I'm going around the track is I need to be a bit smoother with the controls, and my steering needs to be a bit smoother as well. Sometimes I can be a little bit jerky with my steering. So yeah, that's experience number one, for which I've spoken a long time about it. But yeah, a truly incredible day. So another one, I've got my list here. Also, you have to, that's one of my cats meowing because the wife's gone into the toilet, so the cat thinks that she's gone forever. Ray, she's coming back. She's just gone to the toilet. Another one, I've spoken about this before, so I won't cover it too much. But the time when I was able to meet Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James May. Now, the way how this came about was, so I was one of the first tribe leaders on Drive Tribe. If you don't know what Drive Tribe is, it is basically a motoring social media platform. So if you're into your cars, I would thoroughly recommend it. Of course you're into your cars, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this channel. So I got invited to a drinks evening because, like I said, I was one of the first people using Drive Tribe, and to be honest, I don't use it that much very often. I just don't really have, well, normally I don't have the time because I have to work full time. I run my YouTube channel. I've got my own website. So to put content on Drive Tribe on top of that is a little bit difficult. Obviously, in these times where we've got more time, I'm still not at work. I thought I was going back to work next week, but I'm not. So yeah. Anyway, my point is that I don't use Drive Tribe as much as I used to, but despite that, I would recommend you having a look. And if you want to have a look at my tribe, it is called Hot Hatch Lovers. And as you can tell, it is all about hot hatchbacks. So I got invited to the evening. It was somewhere in London. It wasn't too far from Chelsea. And yeah, I don't want to speak about it too much because I've spoken about this a bit in other videos. But the most surreal thing, so I was near the bar. I was just perched on the bar, just relaxing, just taking the evening in. And then, I don't know how, it just happened. I kind of look around, and there he is. Jeremy Clarkson stood right next to me. And it was the weirdest thing ever, because I'm a big fan of Jeremy Clarkson. I grew up watching Top Gear. So for me, at this point in life, I just think, I don't think it can get any better right now. And then out of nowhere, we got talking. I couldn't believe it. And I kid you not, I was so nervous and so giddy that my legs were shaking, properly shaking. I felt like I was doing some Elvis Presley impression. And Clarkson and I, we conversed for about 20 minutes or so. I couldn't believe it. And there was a part of me that thought, should I get this on film? I thought, no, I didn't want to feel intrusive. I wanted to kind of respect boundaries. And plus I wanted to enjoy the moment. But yeah, couldn't believe it. I had a full-blown conversation with Jeremy Clarkson. Incredible. I did have a quick selfie with him, of course. I also grabbed a selfie with James May and Richard Hammond, but I didn't really get a chance to speak to them too much. But I did get them. So I took some books with me to get signed. I know, massive fanboy. But that year, my dad was turning 50. So I'd borrowed his one of his books because he lent me Richard Hammond's book, Joe, the one where he wrote about his crash. I can't think of what that book's called. On the Edge? So I can't think of what the book was called. But basically, my dad lent me Hammond's book, and I had it for a long time, and I was overdue giving it back to him. However, I thought this is a great opportunity to get Clarkson, Hammond and May to sign the book, and then I could give it to my dad for his 50th birthday. So bearing in mind his birthday is in August, and this event was January, February time. It was a long build-up. So yeah, Clarkson, Hammond and May were gracious enough to sign the book, and I got Clarkson to also sign one of my Clarkson books that I had. I got all of Clarkson's books, come to think of it. I took a James May book with me that I got May to sign, and I took my own Richard Hammond book with me that I got him to sign as well. In fact, I don't know where they are. That's really bad. There's a cabinet just over there which is full of books, so they're bound to be in there. So yeah, I got them to all sign my dad's book. I gave it to him on his 50th, and as you can imagine, he was completely bowled over. So that was a fantastic evening. I do have a video on it, but I didn't really film that much, purely because I just wanted to enjoy the evening. As a YouTuber, when you're filming things, because your mindset is kind of in the mindset of, oh, I want to make sure I get this kind of footage, that kind of footage, I want to get this angle or that angle. Sometimes it feels like you're not really in the moment because you're too busy trying to capture it, if that makes any kind of sense. But yeah, that is another memorable occasion, definitely one of my favourites, one that will stick with me for a long time. The next one I'm going to include, it's not part of the top 5, but it is one that I do want to speak about, and that is my very first attendance to the SMMT test day. Now the SMMT, that's the Society of Manufacturers and Motor Traders. Basically, every May, they put on an event at the Millbrook Proving Ground, and a selection of manufacturers turn up with a small range of cars, and you have the ability to jump in them and have a quick drive. It's like wine tasting, but with cars, if that makes any kind of sense. So for someone like me, when I was first starting out, this was a great opportunity for me to drive cars that I wouldn't normally have access to. So the very first time I went, I didn't film it, which is why it's just going to get a quick mention, and it's not part of my top 5. But yeah, the first time I went, I got through 20 cars in one day, which is staggering. Bearing in mind that whenever I go to an event now, I'm lucky if I get through 10 cars, and that's because I film. And as you can imagine, when you're filming things that does slow things down quite dramatically, because you have to set up the GoPros, make sure they're correct, make sure that the sound's good and that kind of thing. When you only have the car for about 20 minutes or so, you have to do that very quickly, so it can be quite stressful at times. But yeah, my very first SMMT test day was fantastic. And for those of you wondering, the public can't go to it. It is purely for the media, for journalists or YouTubers, that kind of thing. It was cancelled this year, of course, which is sad, but it has been rescheduled for later this year. So fingers crossed it goes ahead. But yeah, that was really, really, it was just simply brilliant. Best way to put it. Right, okay, so next one. This is one that is very memorable for all manner of different reasons. And this is when I got invited by Suzuki to the UK launch of the Swift Sport, which actually took place in Ireland, which isn't part of the UK. Right, okay. Moving aside, not only was I very excited to be going to drive the new Swift Sport as a hot hatch lover, but I also had the great fortune of being teamed up with fellow YouTuber Pocket Rockets. Chris and I, we've known each other for quite a long time now, and we get on really well, as I'm sure that you've seen in some of the videos we've done together. We just have, we're just on the same level. We just know each other quite well, and we just have good banter. That was a really good trip, because not only did I get paired up with Chris, which was just simply, I'm trying to think of different words for fantastic and brilliant, but it was just a really, really, this is what happens when you've been in lockdown for like almost 11 weeks. Your brain goes to mush. Oh God, someone fetch me a dictionary or a thesaurus. But it was truly amazing. There we go. It was truly amazing because the car was really good fun to drive. Having Chris along with me was really good as well, because this was the first kind of event he'd been to like this. So I was able to not take him under my wing, so to speak, but it was good because we were able to help each other out. Because sometimes when you go on these kind of events, there's no guarantee that you'll be paired up with someone you know. But luckily for me, 9 times out of 10, when I do get invited to a press event, I do try and pick out someone and go, oh, I know him, and I jump in a car with them. There have been the odd time where I've been paired up with someone I don't know, and to be honest, it can be, it isn't always the best thing, because if you don't particularly like the person you're paired up with, or if they're a bit funny about being on camera, which I fully respect, by the way, then it can make filming difficult and sometimes stressful. Great thing about the Swift Sport launch, of course, we drove on some wonderful roads. There's a place in Ireland, I think it's called Sally Gap. Incredible roads around there. So if you are in that area, I would thoroughly recommend that area of the country, although you probably know about it. But yeah, if you want to go to Ireland and you want some decent driving roads, then Sally Gap, I think, is the name of the area. Truly amazing, wonderful scenery, quiet roads, nice flowing bends. You couldn't really ask for much more, to be honest. I think that's quite underrated. It's not often I see that come up in regard to good driving roads. I can't believe I've been speaking for 20 minutes already. Oh, I just blabber on for ages, don't I? And of course, we took the car on track as well, which again was an incredible experience. It was a little bit frustrating in the fact that I felt some of the other drivers could have driven a bit quicker, because there were times where I thought, I could push this car more around the circuit, but we had to stay in a train of cars behind an instructor car, so to speak, so we could follow the racing line. But that aside, it was it was really good fun, and it was just good to share that experience with Chris. It really was. I'm going to stick with Suzuki. Now, this is a funny one, because the event itself wasn't anything particularly exciting or breathtaking. So I went down to the New Forest. So I tested the new Swift Attitude, which is just a trim level of the Swift. Nothing really amazing. It just offers better value, and it's quite a good trim level, to be fair. If you want to know more about that car, then the video for that is below. And we also took the Suzuki Swift 4x4s, because believe it or not, you can get a 4-wheel drive Suzuki Swift, which doesn't really seem necessary, but Suzuki do make one. So we took those into the New Forest, which is just a mad experience, just driving these little dilly Swifts off-road. It just felt so unnatural and just bonkers. But and then we also got taken to the Isle of Wight, because if you don't know, Suzuki make marine engines. So we went out onto the speedboats that were powered by, I think, well, I say speedboats, they were, what's the word they called them? Ribs, I think, if that's correct. Which were of course powered by Suzuki engines. And that was another really fun experience. It was something I'd never done on a car launch before, go out on a speedboat or whatever you want to call it. And better still, I shared this experience with Dave Thomas, aka Auto Bears. If you haven't checked out his channel, then please do so. I've got a lot of respect for Dave. He's a really nice bloke, really genuine, down to earth, and he's got a really good sense of humour. And so it's always a pleasure to share any kind of event with him. So once more, I was grateful to be paired up with someone I know and someone I get along with really well. He's got, like I say, he's got a very good sense of humour, and we did have some good laughs along the way. So although the event itself, well, I was going to say it wasn't that good. That would be really harsh. What I mean is, it wasn't quite as exciting as other launches I've been on, but because Suzuki did a great job of delivering the event in the way that they did, and I had the company of Auto Bears, it just made it really memorable, even though it isn't necessarily the most breathtaking or captivating launch or event I've been to, but it's just very memorable. And I've got a lot of respect for Dave and also Suzuki, because they have been a massive support for the channel, and they were one of the first companies to supply me with cars to review. So yeah, I'll take my hat off to Suzuki. They love to give the smaller YouTubers a chance, and that can only be a good thing. So yeah, Suzuki, I salute you. Right, okay. I can't believe I've been talking this long. And lastly is one that I felt would be criminal to leave out. Now this is the one that is a little bit of an anomaly, because this isn't a press event or launch or something I got invited to, but I think it would be crazy if I left this out of my top 5. And this is when I took an Abarth 595. I drove it all the way from Elgin in Scotland to St Christopher's Hospice in Sydenham, which is South London. Well, it's kind of, is it South East London? Anyway, that doesn't really matter too much. It's in the South London area. And you may think, well, why on earth would you do that? That sounds crazy. Now, to put this into perspective, I did that journey in just one day. And the reason for that was because, sadly, my father-in-law died from cancer. And St Christopher's Hospice did a fantastic job. I've said fantastic again. They did a truly amazing job of looking after him in his last days. Sadly, he did deteriorate pretty quickly. It was yeah. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but he was fine the Christmas before, and then as we started the new year, he just went downhill really quickly. No one really saw it coming. But the St Christopher's Hospice staff, they really looked after him in his last days. I don't think we could have asked for any better from their staff. So I'll take my hat off to the staff there, doing an incredible job. And I thought I want to give something back. So I concocted this crazy idea that I would cover 595 miles in an Abarth 595. And the challenge was called 595 in a 595. And that's why I drove all the way from Elgin, Scotland, to the hospice, because that was, as near as makes no difference, 595 miles. It was an arduous experience, as you can imagine. The Abarth 595 isn't the best companion for long mileage driving, but let's face it, it wasn't designed to be. But just it was truly it was just incredible, the kind of different bits of scenery we went through. We found ourselves in the Scottish Highlands, and it's all covered in snow. It was like a postcard picture. It was just mesmerising. It really, really was. It was a really pretty and beautiful sight. And if I'm not mistaken, our route did touch part of the North Coast 500, and the roads were on a different level. It's just a shame that I couldn't have just stayed up there longer. And at some point I do want to do the North Coast 500. It's just a case of when, particularly in these times. Sadly, a lot of the journey, as you can imagine, were just boring motorways, but it was for a good cause. There were a few hiccups on the way. So the windscreen developed two quite large cracks, which I had to keep an eye on. Because it was quite cold, I had to keep putting the heaters on to demist the car, but I was wary that I didn't want to keep doing it, otherwise I may cause more damage to the windscreen. And the journey took longer than expected. I can't remember specifically how long it took to do the full journey, because we had to stop 1 or 2 times for toilet breaks and to have lunch and that kind of thing. I think, this is a ballpark figure, I think it took us 13 hours. And yeah, by the end of it, I was pretty broken, I must admit. But all for a good cause. It would have been great to have raised more money, but hey, anything is better than nothing, isn't it? I think in the end, I raised about 300 and something pounds, which in the grand scheme of things isn't that much, but anything is better than nothing. And if you're watching and you donated, thank you so much. I am very, very grateful. And I think that is about time for me to wrap up. I've been speaking for a long time, longer than I thought I would. Mind you, I always think that in my head. Let me know what you think. What have been your favourite car obsession experiences that you've seen me film? I would love to get your feedback and to hear your thoughts. But yeah, it really is time for me to wrap up. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If so, be sure to like, subscribe and comment if you want to. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time, guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.